here on the next edition of the Matt Kerns Show. Time to break down your Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight. Should be a good game. As always, Bengals-Steelers usually is. This one will be in Cincinnati, correct?
Yes, it will be.
And let's start right away. Bigger loss, DeAngelo Williams, Andy Dalton. You first.
Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is definitely the bigger loss for the Cincinnati Bengals. This guy was having an MVP type of caliber year before he got hurt, and he was second leader in the Pro Bowl voting. This is definitely a big loss for him. The offense is definitely not as explosive and as potent as without him in it. So A.J. McCarron is definitely going to need to step up tonight.
I disagree. I think DeAngelo Williams is a bigger loss. I think the way that McCarron's been playing is the reason why. I think there's too much pressure on Big Ben's shoulders now with Williams going down. They already lost Le'Veon Bell earlier in the season. Now they lose Williams. He won't be in this game. Williams on the season, 200 carries, 907 yards, 4.5 average, 11 touchdowns, that's the key stat, and 3 fumbles. McCarron has proved himself. As a starter, he's 2-1. 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions this year. In the games he started, he has 4 touchdowns and 0 picks. That loss coming to Denver, in Denver, they went to overtime in that game. The Bengals actually had 2 opening touchdown drives in that game, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they couldn't muster up anything after that. I expect different in this game. I like Cincinnati to win. I think with Cincinnati or with the Steelers' inability to run the football, still have Antonio Brown, but I think this Bengals will come up with this one. They haven't won a playoff game since what, 92? 91. So I think 2016, who are no longer in existence. I think 2016 is the year. I like the defense. I like the offense, even without Andy Dalton. Now, if they get him back next week, it's going to be interesting. Assuming they win this game. What do you think? I mean, I know this is kind of a silly question, but if they win this game with A.J. McCarron, do they start Andy Dalton next week?
Yes.
And I know they've already said that they are going to, but there's going to be a lot of questions in Cincinnati debating whether or not they should start McCarron with the fact that Dalton hasn't won a playoff game. 0-4, correct?
Yes, he's 0-4 in his playoff appearances. Yes, I still believe they start him. Of course, I'm going to go for the Bengals in this one. I'm going to say 34-31. It'll be a close game. I think it might be a shootout. Bengals are definitely going to keep the game going. But, yeah, definitely Dalton is the starter. The Bengals have announced it. If he is active next week, no matter what.
I think the biggest thing here, though, I think it will be a high-scoring game, but it won't be maybe a shootout. With Williams gone, that Steelers offense is in some trouble. Like as I mentioned earlier, 11 touchdowns. He's been a big part of their offense. Opposing passing yards per game, just the fourth the Bengals are ranked, 18th for the Steelers. The Steelers secondary is questionable. I mean, there's a lot of questions in their back end. They have the hard-hitting Mike Mitchell, Antoine Blake, who's made plays at corner, but who's really struggled. He's given up some big plays as well. I think there's it's a lot more sturdy back there for Cincinnati than it is for Pittsburgh. And the fact that they're at home, is A.J. McCarron going to be able to light up this secondary of Pittsburgh? That's going to be the big question. They're going to be able to move the ball, but I don't know if they're going to be able to light them up.
I don't think they'll be able to light him up. I say McCarron probably throws for maybe 250 yards, but I think they need Hill or Bernard to rush for over 100 yards in this game. Hill has not rushed for over 100 yards in any game this year. So,
they've been balanced between him and Bernard, though. I'm looking at the stats. Jeremy Hill, 223 attempts, 794 yards. He's averaging just 3.5 yards a carry, so that's down. But he has 11 touchdowns.
Yeah, he does.
Bernard, on the other hand, 154 carries, 730 yards, a better 4.7 yards per attempt, only 2 touchdowns. Big thing here, 0 fumbles. He had a fumbling issue the last few years. No fumbles this year. He's definitely the left-right. He'll run outside, whereas Hill's more your downhill guy. But I think they definitely need to feed these 2 guys. Get them equally involved.
Well, definitely. According to a lot of people, this is by far the most talented Bengals team this year. They have not won games in a long time. And, this is only the second home playoff game for the Bengals in their last 5 years. So, It will be very interesting. I'm looking forward to watching it. Of course, I'm going to root for my Cincinnati Bengals. Hopefully, we beat the AFC North rival Pittsburgh Steelers and shut them up.
Scoring rank offense: Cincinnati 7th, Pittsburgh 4th. A big part of that is because of their passing offense. Pittsburgh has the third best passing offense in the NFL. They average 301 yards through the air, only 107.8 via rushing. A big part of this game, definitely, nonetheless, is Ben Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown. Who's going to cover Antonio Brown?
I think Adam Jones will. I think he can stay with him. I say Drake Kirkpatrick will probably be on Martavis Bryant in this one, who's also a very good wide receiver and scores a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, they also have Marcus Wheaton and then former Raider Darius Hayward-Bay. They have weapons for Roethlisberger, but losing Williams is big.
Yeah. And
he was a factor in the receiving game as well. I mean, he had 40 receptions, 367 yards, no touchdowns, averaging just above 9.5 yards per catch. But I think losing him is big. They're not going to have, when they need to run the ball, they're going to be in a lot of predictable passing scenarios, and I just think that lack of efficiency running the football is going to hurt on the road in a playoff game environment like in Cincinnati.
Well, I hope it does, no doubt about it. Who's your matchup to watch?
I think it's got to be James Harrison versus All-Pro Andrew Whitworth. The Steelers, he's an older veteran player. They're going to get after A.J. McCarron, try to rattle him up, but this Bengals offensive line has done a good job this season. Who's yours?
Mine is Adam Jones versus Antonio Brown. If they can stop Antonio Brown and hold him, they have a much better shot with him.
That's the problem. I mean, the only corner to do that has been Richard Sherman. That was in Seattle. Adam Jones is no Richard Sherman, but we will see. Richard Sherman has that size. I mean, he's 6'3". What's Jones at? What's his height?
I think he's 6'2".
So he still has some height. That should be a good matchup to watch for. This should be a good game. We will be back, though, for the rest, or for tomorrow's games. Tune in later for that index, or that insight. All right, Logan, thanks for coming on.